The uniqueness of China is also that it did not go either to be overwhelmingly a private enterprise economy, the way the United States and Britain had become, nor overwhelmingly a state-owned and operated enterprise system, the way the Soviet Union had become. That split with the Soviet Union in the 1960s that I mentioned before our break had enormous consequences, so that over recent decades, China has become a nation roughly one-half private capitalist enterprises and one-half state enterprises, with both halves sharing the old capitalist structure of employer-employee, which is probably why the Chinese wisely don't call their society communist. The name of the party is communist, but what it has achieved, they call socialism, something that is more indifferent from capitalism, but not yet communism, which is rather an interesting way of understanding how China literally redefines what the words mean by the way it has chosen to develop. I want to mention some of the things that are distinctive about China because they follow from the way they've organized their economy, whereas in Western treatments, they're often dealt with as though they show that the Chinese are fumbling or bumbling or making mistakes. Let me give you some examples. In China, because the economy is planned by the government and by the Communist Party that shapes the government, they build housing before people need it. So if you see a photograph of areas of some city where there are lots of apartment buildings that are empty, this is not because they don't know what they're doing or they're making mistakes. They plan their economic growth, where they want the city to be, how big it will be, is all done in relationship to the rest of the society's growth. So they build before people need it, so when they can, people can then move from wherever they are into waiting apartments that are all set for them. You may not like the outcome, that's another question, but it's not a mistake or it's not a flaw, it's the way they organize things. Likewise, they have managed to move hundreds of millions of people out of the rural agricultural parts of China to the urban industrial. Modern industrialization took centuries in Europe. It took a century or two in the United States. It took 30 to 40 years in China. And they moved a larger population that was in a more backward agriculture into modern industry, a transformation that could have and should have and would have exploded other societies because of the tensions and the difficulties and the pain of social change. They managed all that to become what they are today. Again, full of mistakes along the way, of course. Dead ends, trials, errors, but achievements that have to be recognized in what has been produced at the end. They really ended mass poverty and have been recognized by the United Nations for having done that. Again, all kinds of frictions and problems, for sure. But ending poverty is no minor achievement in a world which still has vast amounts of it on all the continents remaining.